Hello and welcome to this video on ratio. In this video, we're going to cover the basics of ratio. So if you're just starting out, this is the right video to start off with. Okay, ratio is a part-to-part relationship. Okay, so here, for example, on the right-hand side, we say we have 2 parts red and 3 parts green. Okay, so 2 parts red and 3 parts green. Okay, this is different to the fraction. Okay, a fraction here, if I was to say what's the fraction that are red, 2 out of those 5 counters are red. Okay, and the fraction of green, 3 out of 5 are green. So a fraction is a part to whole relationship. Okay, so this is the part and this is the whole amount. So how much is there in total? Whereas ratios is a part to part relationship, and in a moment we will see that this is written, the red to green is written like this. So it is a part-to-part relationship rather than a part of the whole that a fraction is. Okay, so it's a very subtle difference between fractions and ratio, but they are related. And over here on the left, we would say that there is 1 adult to 5 children. Okay, so 1 adult to 5 children. Okay, it's a part-to-part relationship. 1 adult to 5 children. If we were saying what is the fraction of this total group, the fraction of the whole that are children, we would say 5 out of 6. So this is the part out of the whole are children. 5/6 are children. So you can see that it is a part to whole relationship if it's a fraction, but it's a part to part relationship if it is a ratio. So we'd say that the ratio of adults to children is 1 to 5. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about what these 2 dots in the middle mean in a moment. Ratios are written in the form A dot dot B, which is said A to B. Okay, so these dots in the middle is this word here. Okay, A to B. And it represents the 2 parts that we've just been talking about. So this is the part to part relationship. Let's have a look at this on some examples. So example number 1 says, write down the ratio of red beads to green beads. Okay, nice and straightforward. There are 3 red beads to 5 green beads. Okay, so that is it. That is the ratio of red to green beads, 3 to 5. Notice how I also have put the red first, okay, because that's what it said in the question, okay. If it says red to green, I have to put it in that order. I have to put it red first to green because that's what it said in the question, red to green. Example 2, write down the ratio of children to adults. So read it really carefully. It says children to adults. So I've got to put it that way round. How many children are there? Well, the children are here. And there are 15 children. So 15 children to how many adults? There are 2 adults. Okay. So 15 to 2. That is the ratio because it said children to adults. Okay. 15 to 2. Okay, it's really important the order is correct. Okay, you've got to put it in the right order. Okay, it is not, as some people think, that it is, some people think that it's always the smaller number that comes first. That is not the case, okay? It is whatever it asks you to do, okay? So in this case, it asked me for the children first, and the children, there happen to be 15 children, so that is the number that comes first, okay? The 5 is the number that comes first. 15 to 2. Example 3, write down the ratio of triangles to squares. So triangles must come first, squares come second, okay? So how many triangles are there? Well, there are 1, 2, 3 triangles. So 3 triangles. And how many squares are there? There are 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 squares. So the ratio is 3 to 4. 3 ... 4. 3 to 4. Example 4, write down the ratio of circles to hexagons to octagons. Okay, so we've now got a 3-part relationship. Okay, we've got circles, which are going to go here, to hexagons, which are going to go here, to octagons, which are going to go in this box here. So how many circles have we got? We've got 1, 2 circles. How many hexagons have we got? We've got hexagons, remember, are 6-sided. So 1, 2. So there are 2 hexagons. And octagons, remember, are 8-sided. So we've got 1, 2, 3 of those. So we've got a 3-part relationship here. And that's absolutely fine. We can have 3 parts to our ratio. That's absolutely fine. So it is said as 2 to 2 to 3. Example 5. Express the ratio of adults to children in its simplest form. Okay, so we've got to put adults first, children second, and then in its simplest form. Okay, in its simplest form. This means we're going to have to simplify the ratio. So first of all, I'm going to write down the ratio of adults to children because that's what it tells me to do first. So adults, there are 4 adults. I've got my adults here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 adults. And how many children have I got here? I have got 3, 6, 9, 12. 12 children. And then it says in its simplest form. Well, simplest form means that I have to divide through by the highest common factor, the HCF, the highest common factor. And that means the biggest number that goes into both 4 and 12. What's the biggest number that goes into both 4 and 12? That's the highest common factor. The biggest number that goes into both 4 and 12. Well, the biggest number that goes into both 4 and 12 is 4. Okay, so I can divide through by 4. And I get 1 to 3. So my ratio in its simplest form is 1 to 3. And actually, you can see that on my diagram here, because look, there's 1 adult to 3 children, 1 adult to 3 children, 1 adult to 3 children, and 1 adult to 3 children. So there you go, 1 adult to 3 children. Example 6, express the ratio of green to red in its simplest form. So pay attention to the way that the question tells you. It says green to red. So I need first my green and then my red. Okay, so how many greens have I got? I've got 6 on the top line and I've got 4 lines. So 6 4 is 24. 24. And how many reds? 4. and in its simplest form. Okay, so in its simplest form means I need to divide again through by the highest common factor, the highest number, the biggest number that goes into both 4 and 24. And the biggest number that goes into both 24 and 4 is 4. So divide 4 by 4, I get 6. Sorry, divide 24 by 4, I get 6. Divide 4 by 4, I get 1. So my ratio of green to red in its simplest form is 6 to 1. And indeed, you can see that 6 to 1 relationship by just looking at one individual line. There you go, 6 to 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 1. Example 7, write down the ratio of circles to hexagons to octagons in its simplest form. So circles to hexagons. Oh, I'm going to write this a bit neater. Circles to hexagons to octagons in its simplest form. So how many circles have I got? I've got 1, 2. Oh, that's it. 2 circles. Hexagons. How many hexagons have I got? Got 6-sided shapes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Got 8 hexagons. And how many octagons have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 octagons. But now in its simplest form, okay, which means I've got to divide through by the highest common factor of all these numbers. So what's the biggest number that goes into 2, 8, and 6? Well, the biggest number that goes into 2, 8, and 6 is 2. So divide 3 by 2. If I divide 2 by 2, I get 1. If I divide 8 by 2, I get 4. And if I divide 6 by 2, I get 3. So 1 to 4 to 3 is the ratio in its simplest form. Okay, example 8. Express the ratio 12 to 18 in its simplest form. So I'm just dividing through by the highest common factor. What's the biggest number that goes into 12 and 18? It is 6. So I'm dividing through by 6, which gives me 2 to 3. So that ratio in its simplest form is 2 to 3. Example 9, express the ratio 40 to 15 in its simplest form. Well, both these numbers end in 5s and 0s. Therefore, I can divide through by 5. 5 is the highest common factor there. And I get 8 to 3. 8 to 3. And example number 10. 21 to 7 to 49. 21 to 7 to 49. I've got to find the biggest number that goes into all three of these numbers, 21, 7 and 49. I think the number that goes into all of them there is 7. So divide 3 by 7 and you get 3 to 1 to 7, and it can't go any further. 3 to 1 to 7 is that ratio in its simplest form. Example number 11 says express the ratio £2 to 25p in its simplest form. The best thing to do here is to change both of these into the smaller unit. Okay, so the smaller unit here is the pence. Okay, so change both into pennies. So this is 25p, and £2, of course, is 200p. And then you can simplify that nice and easily now. So what's the biggest number that goes into 225? The biggest number there is 25. So divide through on both sides by 25 and you get, well, 25 goes into 25 once and 25 goes into 200 8 times. Okay, 8 to 1. And it's a part-to-part relationship, so you do not need to put pennies in the last line of the working here, okay, because it's just a part-to-part relationship. 8 to 1 is the final answer there. Example 12, express the ratio 500 to 3 litres in its 500 millilitres to 3 litres in its simplest form. So again, strongly recommend you change it to the smaller unit, which is the millilitres there. So we've got 500 millilitres, and it really helps if you know that there are 1,000 millilitres in a litre, so therefore 3 litres is 3,000 millilitres. Okay, so we are trying to simplify this ratio now. Well, I'm going to make this a little bit easier for myself. I'm going to cancel out a 0 there and a 0 there, and I've got another 0 I can actually cancel out there. So basically I'm just simplifying the ratio 5 to 30, which is much nicer. And the highest common factor there between those two numbers is 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 30 divided by 5 is 6. So the ratio there in its simplest form is 1 to 6. Okay, here are some questions for you to have a go at yourself. So pause the video now, have a go at these, and restart the video to see the answers. And here are the answers. Well done for having a go at those.